Yes, my people, come and hear what David Hundeyin said. He said after investigating into the INEC materials that he got to realize that Peter Obi did not just win the election, no, that he did not just win the presidential, that he won that presidential election with a landslide. That he won the election with a landslide. Now, this is exactly what we are talking about. I want you to hear him. This one is not like whether he is saying it with a voice record or what. He came out on live TV with in an interview to say it, that he has actually gotten access to the electoral material. He's an investigative journalist, everybody knows that he has gotten access to the electoral materials and have been able to dig out some kind of critical information, that from the data available, that Peter Obi won that election with a landslide, and he has given the advice to Peter Obi on what he could do concerning the court case and everything, but that he's monitoring. Listen to him.
Where is Peter Obi? Because most of the Nigerian youth I speak to and I interact with, they seem to be rooting for Peter Obi, because they believe that he's probably there.
And they did vote for him in their numbers.
So they believe that Peter Obi should be their next president.
And I believe so too, because I've actually seen the data. So the result sheets, the hundreds of thousands of result sheets, which were not sent, even though they were supposed to be sent, and which we eventually got access to, it indicates very clearly that Peter Obi didn't just win the election, he actually won it in a landslide. However, the problem with, well, I don't want to say the problem, but the key difference between Peter Obi and Bola Tinubu is that Peter Obi is not a career politician. Peter Obi is a billionaire businessman who happens to go into politics. Had it been the roles were reversed, and it was Tinubu who was in a situation where he won an electoral landslide and then his mandate was stolen by the other candidates, what Tinubu would have done is something like what's that Kenyan candidate who lost the election? What's his name?
Raila Odinga.
Raila Odinga. Thank you very much. So what Raila Odinga did in I believe it was 2015 or 2016? No, it was 2015, where he was declared the what's his name? Uhuru Kenyatta was declared the winner of the election. Then Raila Odinga took his supporters to some stadium or whatever and got some judge to do like a mock swearing in and called himself the people's president. That kind of stunt, even though you could say it's treasonous, that's exactly the sort of thing Tinubu would have done if he was in Peter Obi's position. Because that's what a politician would do. If you know that the people are on your side, or you have a large enough number of people on your side, then you know that there are other cards you can play in addition to just going to court, because you know that the security agencies, for example, are not going to come after you, because if they know that if they do, they can start a civil war. So you play that to your advantage. That's what an African politician would do. But Peter Obi is, as I said, is a businessman, he's not a politician. So because I've actually spoken to him since the announcement, and all he's concerned about is, well, gather evidence, go to courts, gather evidence, put our legal case together properly, blah, blah, blah. But the thing, I personally, I haven't told him this. I'm not part of his campaign team anyway. But what I personally believe is, when you're working in an African context, in addition to following the letter of the law, you always have to have a certain element of, you know what, I have the carrot, but I also have a stick. So if I'm doing things the right way, and you are determined to frustrate me, even though I'm trying to do things the right way, I have another thing in reserve, and I'm going to make sure that you can see it. I might not use it, but I'm going to make sure you can see it and see that they have the capacity to use it. And that might make you think twice about trying to frustrate me. I personally believe that Peter Obi should, ever since the supposed results were announced, he should have come out publicly and led maybe a couple of rallies or something. Just a show of force. Not a protest, not a riot, nothing like that, but just a rally. Just a show of force. Just so the authorities understand that this thing isn't going to be as easy as you think it is. It's not a matter of you just declare anyone you like to be the winner and then the person gets sworn in and that's the end of that. The youth are still here. They're still on the streets. They've not gone anywhere. And you're going to have to answer that question to them. That's what I think he should have done. But ultimately, obviously, I mean, he's the one running for president, not me. And, I can only speak as an outsider. I mean, if I knew as much about politics as he does, probably I'll be the one who would have been running for president, not him. So, but we have to wait and see.
And this group was other than this group must rule Nasarawa State. So that's what happened. If you go to IRF, you will notice that in the accreditation for Chiroma and Gayam Ward, there are different figures for the House of Assembly and the governorship. But it's the same beaver that was used. How can you suddenly two elections announced. The one for the House of Assembly has different figures of accreditation, and the ones for the governorship, but it's the same accreditation, the same number of people that voted in the governorship election as those that voted in the House of Assembly election. But if you go to the IRF and you go to the back end and you see they are different from what was announced. This was simply brazen and criminal. Do your worst. That is what they were telling us. We'll add the figures, we'll announce it. Do your worst. So that so-called wide lead is not a. Look at what happened. What did the APC get in the presidential election? What was the votes of APC in the presidential election? For example, look at the gap between what they voted in the presidential election and what they got in the governorship. That is one. Number two, in this election, PDP defeated Sule in his local government, in Akwanga local government. We defeated him flatly. We defeated him in his ward. We defeated him in Akwanga zone, which is his own zone. Then we defeated him in Doma local government, in Obi local government. These are huge population centers. Then we defeated him in Karu. Where are they cooking those figures from? Very clearly, you will notice that this was the most brazen act of criminality I've seen in any election. That people suddenly just go and use 3-4 units and add to their figures and just announce. Those figures are simply fiction. They don't agree with the total accreditation for election in Latvia local government, in Gayam, in Chiroma. So that is what they were doing. It had nothing to do with the real votes cast by the people. If you want to do that, go to IRF. You will see the gap between what they declared and what actually took place in the election proper. And what happened in the presidential election, as you could see, was that there was this wave, of obedience of young people that we all took for granted. And we were thinking that Peter Obi was a joke. Where will he go? So both PDP and APC, we were thinking, no, this man, he doesn't have structures. He will not be able to do much and so on. So, but the people somehow, young people, seized the initiative from all the politicians. And for the first time, what we saw in Nasarawa, in several other places, in Edo, in Delta, where the vice president comes from, we saw that the young people were serious about what they were doing, and they took advantage of the social media, to project a program that has shaken the nation. For me, we lost in the presidential election. We lost truly. APC, which is the incumbent government, lost more woefully than we did. Who had the government, who have the party in the state, they all lost. So
now I want to bring your notice to something that you need to know before it is too late. There is an agenda from the APC. Yes, from the APC specifically. There's an agenda from their camp to make the Nigerian people, okay, especially the obedience, to make us to receive that pressure and get to forget about this mandate. So that agenda, if you watch, one of their leader, Festus Keyamo, went to channels to say something like, we are going to match them with propaganda. So there is a lot of propaganda going on today. And these people, what they do is that they deploy people. They've deployed people. I don't know whether they deploy those people or those who are doing those jobs voluntarily. But you go around and see anywhere somebody is making a post that talks about Peter Obi or that reinstates that Peter Obi actually won the election. Go and look at what those people come to comment. They will be telling you, I know they tire for this thing. I know they tire for this thing. I know why you are doing this is because of Facebook money. Some even come and tell you that you are one of the problem of this country that people need to be dealt with. You are one of the. They even some of them go as far as coming to DMs to threaten people, to intimidate people, so that you stop talking. They know what they are trying to do. They know what they want to achieve. In order to even bring this thing, since they have not been able to achieve it successfully on social media because we are resilient, what they've done is this, and many of them have gone to Abuja to protest. They protest that Nigerians should congratulate their candidate. Have you seen where that kind of thing happen in this world? No, tell yourself the truth. Have you seen where any candidate, anybody will win election in the world and be asking people in this world to congratulate him? I thought congratulation is, even if people doesn't congratulate you, move on, because you don't even need it. Those that voted for you knows you. Why don't you go to the 8 million people that voted for you? If total of 20-something million people casted their vote and you earn most of the votes, why then do you have to come out to protest for people to congratulate you? So if you haven't the 8 million people congratulated you, no, because you know you rigged the election. Even the 8 million votes, you didn't get it. What you got was far way below 8 million. And that is why you are going up and down, parading yourself in Abuja, seeking for irrelevant, seeking for what you know you can never get. I've been telling people they have an agenda to stop us from talking about this matter and forget about it. And that is why David Hundeyin is saying something like he would have actually staged the work if he was in Peter Obi's show, if he was advised Peter Obi, that he would have actually staged the work so that he can add more pressure to the people, just to make them, just to pass that message that, hey, I know I want this election. Don't think I don't know what I'm doing. That is what he was saying. David Hundeyin, that's what David Hundeyin is saying. And we need to really understand it perfectly, because we are not dealing with people who are ready to back down.